start and finish in the background there, and we are in our first map. It is Romanticide, and in the bottom right, he is the red Protoss, Cyan.
And up at the top left here from Kaiser Gaming in the blue, it's the monster himself. This is time.
He has robbed Cyan of his color here.
Oh no, Cyan is red. Triggered. Oh well. You know, it's like when Scarlet isn't red when she spawns in game. Same deal. It's like, this doesn't feel right.
I'm actually just peeping Cyan's recent Terran matches, and the most notable one I would say is that he's taken a couple of maps off of Special here and there, and Special's quite good. Done very well for himself in recent times. Yeah. So you know that shows some promise, but I think the name of the game is consistency, right? If you see that happen once in a while, cool. If you see it happen all the time, then you're like, maybe we have something here.
We do have the Nexus going down here for Cyan. A very, well, not an extremely conservative opening, but still a bit more on the conservative side, going Cybercore before Nexus. It can sometimes be an aggression, but it's usually like the earlier Cybercore is usually I don't want to die to something proxied by Terran, and Time making an uncharacteristic error there, losing his SCV to the scouting probe. Now that is, you know, not something you expect at this level for sure.
No, that would be a very smug probe on its way home right there. Time just comes in, checks the structures, has a quick see, and he's probably going to head back out of here. And he's just headed up into the factory from here. I imagine a starport won't be too far off.
Yeah. So Stargate coming up here for Cyan, and Time is going to round out the rest of that 1-1-1 opener. It looks like he is going to get the starport after the factory, no second barracks here for Time. So, you know, we've been seeing a little bit more these days in TVP, Terrans trying to deal with Protoss early game by getting out multiple barracks, sometimes 2, sometimes 3, which does mean that the factory's a lot later, which means the starport's a lot later, but not uncommon to see that these days. In fact, expecting a 3 racks at some point from Time is just so common now in every series.
Yeah. One of the cool things about watching Time play is that he's got so many variations of his builds, so he really can throw something different at his opponent every single game if he wishes. Nice retreat to the bunker there too. Doesn't lose any of the Marines just yet. And he's going to try and flush these Adepts out of the natural, gets one.
Yeah, the other one's going to shade through and confirm the Hellion here, which is going to go straight across the map to see what's happening in Protossville. And it looks like behind this Time is going to be able to get the medevac up for a Widowmine's follow-up. You do have the medevac starting now for Time. Cyan getting ready for it, though. The more Phoenixes that hit the field, the easier dealing with the Widowmine drop and the medevac is going to be, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Gives you a little bit more time to work with, because you can lift them up. Once they drop out, you can chase the medevac down. And of course, the door at the front has been closed, so not going to be able to sneak that Hellion in or anything like that. And in fact, he's actually going to lose it to those Adepts.
Yeah. The Hellion not really getting a ton done there. And the Phoenixes are just waiting for their time. I mean, Cyan knows better than most that it is around about when the medevac hits, if the Terran is going medevac. Cyan hasn't confirmed 100% that is going to be a medevac. But you do have to respect it, otherwise, you know, you just lose the game. Lose enough probes to lose the game.
Yeah, I feel like just given the gas situation, he's seen no units or anything. He's keeping good tabs out on the map with his Adepts, and he's actually going to come in with the Phoenixes. Just see if he can pick anything up. Should be able to at least get some workers. He'll also get the scouting information that he's looking for.
Phoenix is getting up in the main base, and the medevac window has closed apparently, because he's sending those Phoenixes across to try and get those SCVs, and he is getting a handful. 5 is not bloody bad, especially considering he hasn't lost any units. He's just lost some shields on that. That's very, very good harassment from Cyan, keeping Time very much pinned back.
Yeah, always worthwhile. He's going to be able to even shave off a couple of Marines here as well, and he can keep doing that as long as he's got shields and got energy to lift with. There's endless utility in those Phoenixes, and he can make it really difficult for Time to actually build up the force that he wants. Now that Raven has been snuck out, and I feel like Cyan, being as thorough as he is, he's actually going to find it. Oh, he's paying attention.
I mean, that is a free Raven if he's paying attention for sure. It's very, very bold for Time to be sending this across the map for the auto turret harassment, but it kind of makes sense as well. You know, if you're up against this many Phoenixes, there's not going to be a whole lot of, you know, Colossus potential, I guess. You know, the Colossus can come soon, of course, but it does mean that you know, if you're not intending to push, the Raven doesn't really have ton of utility other than harassment. You could use it to gun down observers, I suppose. Oh, Cyan a little bit late on the pro pool. He's going to lose a handful here. Wow, that really worked this the time. Very nice.
Yeah, unreal. I don't know that he'll get that Raven home, but yeah, I mean, getting some damage is better than nothing, because I figured that Cyan might actually spot the Raven when he passed past it and kill it right off the bat. But yeah, unfortunately that won't be making it home. Still kind of sucks to lose that Raven. They're very expensive. But, you know, Time's just going to go ahead, take his third base. It is Romanticide after all. So it's kind of the law that you have to have 3 bases.
Of course. It is written.
It is known.
We're about to finish now. I'm just going to help these charge lots out a fair bit. The Archons only have 10 hit points, so they're not going to benefit a ton from that armor. Speaking of charge lots, and they come hitting that third base. Time plenty of units in position though, and it really feels like Time's being very, very careful here. He's waiting, I think, when the upgrades kick in, Time's going to probably get a little bit more presence out on the map, but right now Cyan, thanks to, you know, off the back of this great Phoenix harassment, has earned himself complete map control on his side. He can take that 4th Nexus. He can honestly, I think, probe up a little bit heavier as well. Like stopping at 64 is fine, but I think he can honestly continue the probe cycles and go a little bit more ham with it. But yeah, there's that 4th Nexus being dropped now.
We see the armory coming down for Time. He's going to ideally go straight into the next wave of upgrades. We'll see if he starts to be aggressive. It's always a little bit difficult when you have these Phoenixes out, because you just feel like you want to chase them around and flush them out of your base. You want to keep an eye on the possibility of a warp prism as well, especially if you're about to move out, because that's the moment when the Zealots end up in your base. But as it stands, you know, he has a good read on what the tech is for Cyan. He's like, all right, Phoenixes, we've got mostly gateway units out here. He hasn't really gone for it yet. I do wonder if he's just going to wait for the 2-2 timing instead. We haven't even really seen an attempt at a drop or anything, because it's tricky against Phoenixes.
True. I mean, it's if you're up against Phoenixes, it's a little bit risky to drop for sure. Sometimes it can work because the Protoss is complacent.
Yeah.
And I think you won't drop because they have the Phoenixes.
Oh! Uh-oh.
No!
Well, that's nice. Oh, hold on. He's coming in with a bunch of Zealots, a couple of Archons as well, but they're a little bit slow to the party here, and Time is going to be able to clean that up. Only loses a couple of workers and a tank, I think.
Yeah, losing the tank is the most expensive thing Time lost there, I think, is he's mostly hold on quite nicely and also shaved into that charge lot count relatively nicely as well. Time is now up a good chunk of army supply. He's also got 2-2 on the way, already has 1-1, so in the upgrade sense, they are neck and neck. But Cyan is a little bit more along in the tier 3 sense. He's got the Archons, he's got Colossus, double production from the Robos right now, which means he's going to have a very good anti-bio army very, very soon. Time, however, is reactoring out Vikings and getting Ghosts. So it seems like he is keeping up with these tech shifts from Cyan and, you know, really much playing some textbook TVT after a bit of a shaky start.
Yeah, I think that's one of his strengths too. He doesn't really seem to get caught out by tech very often. He just, you know, he handles it very well. He's often one step ahead. And so he should have the equipment needed to deal with this big Protoss death ball that's going to end up coming out here. Now, he has a fairly solid force already. Bit of extra chunkiness to it with those Marauders starting to come into the mix 3 at a time.
Yeah. We got the planetary being started right now on the 4th base location. And Cyan just clearing up a little bit more of the map while he takes his 5th Nexus. Once again, just trying to get to the Max's phase out. And This is just one of those games where both players took their shots at each other early, and now it's just about maxing out and getting the tech as advanced as possible. Rounding up those upgrades, getting the composition massaged into what you think you need to defeat the other guy's composition. Which means, you know, disruptors for the ghosts. It means Vikings for the Colossi. It means ghosts for the Archons and the gateway units. You know, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, exactly. So it's been pretty tame of an early to mid game, as neither one has really committed to too much so far, right? But that just means we're going to get some juicier engagements later on if all goes well. Because we're going to end up in that position where both of them are maxed, both of them have pretty much all the tech that they could want. This is where we start seeing some of the moves get pulled. Time comes into this base, but doesn't overstay his welcome, just snipes the building, heads back out. Likewise, Cyan did head out with that prism. It's sort of standing at the ready. We'll see if he throws it in soon or if he's going to wait until he sees Time moving across the map.
Oh, Prism is always deadly. It is going to be flying through a turret as well as a sensor tower, so Time knows it's here. Reacting pretty quickly. Ghost coming up to the main base, just fresh out of that barracks. Oh, actually he's going to deal with Cyan on two fronts here. And the front at the fourth base seems a lot more important to deal with, as that is a lot of gas in that army.
He dealt with that so well. I believe that was actually 3 fronts, because there was some alert that went off at the third base as well. Maybe it have only been like 1 or 2 units. But those are the sorts of things that we're getting so used to seeing Protoss do, is to attack multiple locations at once to try and pull a Terran out of position and then capitalize on that. But Time, looking great, deals with it handily, and he's heading across the other side of the map to Cyan's territory now. Cyan is not done with the Zealot harassment, of course, but he does have to take this engagement very seriously. That is quite the Terran army.
Oh, massive EMP into the middle of that stack of Protoss units. The Vikings also shredding these Colossi to pieces. In comes that army of Cyan. A good split from Time against the Disruptor as well. Can he A-move for the win here? It seems like more and more likely that's going to be the case. Yeah, oh my god. I'm just trying to do the caster things, F, where you're like, oh, can he do it? Can he hold on? And it's like, you know, 20 supply difference.
Well, it always looks good at the start, right? And then he just suddenly starts dropping like no tomorrow. He's lost pretty much all his important tech except those last few disruptors. Now, Cyan does clean that up, and I think, yeah, those charge shots actually did a lot of damage. So while it was a good fight for Time, he lost most of his army there in the end, and he lost a whole bunch of workers at that third base. So now Cyan's going to come in for counterattack. He doesn't have a whole lot to work with, but what does Time have on the field?
Yeah, not a whole lot is the answer. Like, he put a lot of eggs into that attack basket over there at the third Nexus, and did not trade well enough. He got a lot of the tier 3 units, fair enough, but he lost a lot of his army, or most of his army, in the midst of things, and with Cyan backstabbing with these charge lots, the economy of Time's taken a massive blow, and he can't really bankroll that remax as quickly as he would like. If Time can buy another minute or so, potentially he could stabilize, but I don't think Cyan is going to give him that breathing room.
Well, he's about to have +3 attack. That'll definitely help out here. Oh my goodness. That is 40 DTs. I don't care what you say. They will kill everything. And Time is still trying to dance around to the front here and deal with this Stalker Disruptor Ball. That definitely complicates things.
Yeah. Cyan's doing the right thing. You know, he's got his boot to the neck of the Terran right now, and he knows that he's just got to not let up and don't make don't overextend, but just do the plus EV plays, and they are absolutely working out for him. These DTs picking up the planetary. Some DTs coming into the midst a little bit too early there in the middle of that scan, but now they are escaping. And Time's got 3-3, but, 3-3 for what? He hasn't got that many units. Cyan's 3-3 is done for a much beefier army with a lot more firepower, a lot more splash damage potential. And Time is, 53 workers and 4 bases, which is about, I guess his mining isn't too inefficient. It's just not as good as Cyan's, is unfortunately the case here for the Terran.
Cyan's got the money units back in the mix as well. Time lost 2 out of 3 of his last remaining ghosts when that last disruptor hit went off, and now he's got to fight this big Protoss army again. The DTs are still lurking around there somewhere. More and more workers going down, and I think Cyan is looking real good here. He's still struggling to sort of get all the way up.
There we go.
But he's done it. He takes the first game.
Yeah, just had to bleed out Time long enough there for him to tap. As the Terran, Time knows he's good enough to be able to come back in a lot of these games. but there's no coming back even then for time. Maybe if Cyan was a worse Protoss, he could do it, but Cyan is very, very legit. So really cool to see him take that game one there. You know, it's getting me a little bit hyped and a little bit wiggly and jilly for the series.
Yeah, pretty cool. I mean, it all came down to that one engagement, right? He did a lot of damage. He melted all the tech of the Protoss, but at the end, the Protoss did better. You know, those low unit counts, the Protoss units are stronger, and he had the reinforcement of the Disruptors as well. Lost all the Vikings because he landed them too. So at that point, what do you really have left? So yeah, Cyan with those Zealots. Again, they're always just the money unit. You kind of should always have some sort of Zealot thing happening behind the main battle, I think, and Cyan is no stranger to that.
Definitely not. Well, we're going to take a short break, and when we return, let's find out if time can fight back and take it to a 1-1. Don't go away. We'll see you then. G'day, StarCraft fans. Welcome back to the DreamHack Masters main event here for China. I am Maynard, with me as Zeph, and we are in the midst of our winners bracket match. Yes, winners match. That's probably a little bit more apt. The winners match here for Group A between Time and Cyan is up 1-0, Zeph.
Pog.
Pog?
Can he do it? Is this the start of a storyline where maybe Cyan knocks Time down? Maybe Time doesn't win the decider match? I don't know.
Maybe.
Be wild.
You know, Time is... You could see in that game on Romanda's side, he was definitely a little bit shaky, losing the SCV to the scouting probe. A little bit of, slow hand reactions to a few of the run-bys at the third base. The DTs very much caught him with his pants down. A lot of stuff a little bit uncharacteristic of Time, but, a lot of Terrans better than Time have also made those mistakes as well, so you can't read into it too much. It is still a sign of a little bit of shakiness, but this series will let us know whether or not Time is... really having any concerns coming into this tournament. I mean, he has lost series before. I remember he lost one to, I think it was Dragon. Not, of course, Korean Dragon, Chinese Dragon, in a TVT, either last season or the season before that.
Yeah, I mean, he's not bulletproof. It's just his consistency is crazy. And if Cyan beats him here, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But the question is, how many times in a row can he do that? Because it's a small region. Again, they're likely going to face in the playoffs if they both make it there. So that's kind of the problem. Not to take anything away from Cyan if he does manage to knock him out. I mean, he won a full-on macro game on Romanta's side. So I don't know. Let's see how we go here. We're on Oxide. And in the bottom left, he's a good game gamer in the red. He is Cyan.
And up at the top right here, currently down in the series from Kaisi Gaming in the blue, this is Time. So Oxide is Terran Wonderland. They love this map. Definitely Time's map pick. And Cyan being very vigilant with his opening probe here, looking for any proxies.
Yeah. Certainly does not hurt to be thorough. Especially when you're 1-0 up. Like, you could actually pull... I don't know if I'd call it an upset, but an unexpected result, perhaps, to get the 2-0 here over time. So... don't want to lose it by not scouting something rather silly.
Speaking of scouting, time for the Terran to do his own version of that, sending SCV across the map. So he's just A to B here. I don't think he's proxying anything, but I'll keep an eye on it. And once again, Cyan... oh, no, actually, I think that was Nexus before Core. I stand corrected. I thought he was actually going Cyber Core before Nexus in this game. Never mind. Crisis averted.
Yeah, all good. Christmas is saved. I'm interested to see what Time is going to open with here. We've seen a fair bit of mind drop from him before. We've seen the old 3 Raxes and the Hellion run by while you do the Marine drop and all that fancy stuff. And what did he open with last game? Well, not a whole lot. He kind of ended up staying at home. So perhaps that didn't bode well for going up against Cyan. Maybe you need to throw some stuff at him a little bit earlier.
Yeah, getting out of there on the map a little bit earlier would have been nice, but it's so hard to do. We were talking about in game 1. A lot of what you do as a Terran to get across the map is via medevacs, via Hellion run-bys. And the Phoenixes really shut that down for Cyan, or at least, even if they didn't shut it down, they made that play very risky. And Time didn't want to make that risk, didn't want to take that call, putting a lot of his eggs into the ground push basket, saying, hey, when I get 2-2 upgrades, I'm going to head across the map with a big ground push and get it done that way. And he very nearly did. It was actually very, very close for him to win that fight. But alas, didn't work out for him. Hindsight 2020.
Yeah, for sure. He did, he did send out the Raven, but the Raven was kind of a non-event gotta be probes, but Ravens are so expensive that it feels hard to justify. But this time, we do have Marines coming out on the map. A couple of mines in tow as well. We're seeing that medevac on the way, and Cyan is absolutely going to scout what's happening here.
Yes, just having a good look-see there. Times Depot's about to finish up so they can get rid of that dreaded 46 supply block that every Terran in the whole world has had at some point. Very quick Robo Bay here from Cyan as well. Is he? Oh, he started to disrupt. He's going for Disruptor drop. No, Colossus drop. Oh,
What?
this is actually a Zest special. You know, Zest, Nina, a couple of professional Protosses have done stuff like this relatively regularly against Terrans in series.
Interesting. Not something that we see every day. It's popped up a couple of times, but I wouldn't call it a staple by any means. So it's kind of cool in that sense because people don't really expect it. It's not in the forefront of their minds when they're playing the video game and they're trying to figure out what the Protoss is going to be thrown at them in the early stages. So we got that need for speed and we're heading out with one Colossus.
Yep, just the one in the Prism. With Prism speed about to finish, that thing's going to be jetting around, gunning down SCVs. But Time, I think, is picking up what Cyan's putting down. There is a Viking and a Cyclone on the way here, and both those things are very good at dealing with something like this. They need to be in the right position, though. Widowmine kills the Adept. Nice. It looks like Cyan's trying to, like, he's expecting Stargate, but inadvertently is going to have something that's pretty good against what Cyan's doing here.
Yeah. And now that he's aware, he can sort of place those couple of units on the edges of the natural, up towards the main if he likes, just to try and prevent it from coming back in. But you know, once your hand's shown and you get those first couple of laser beams off, see what the Terran has, it can be pretty difficult to commit to that again because you're like, I don't know. He might actually take this out. I might lose it. We'll see if he has another shot at it.
Time getting some serious supply blocks here every now and then as well. Just slowing down his macro ever so much. Ever so slightly. But they are starting to get dealt with as time goes forward. Both literally and figuratively. Prism. Okay, just takes a little bit of pepper there from that Cyclone. But yeah, looks like the Colossus side of things has been shut down pretty nicely. Which does mean that Cyan's put a lot of resources into this. You know, Colossus and a War Prism with Prism speed is not cheap. Which means at home, he's not looking too fresh against these Widowmine drops there. He's got to go for a nice big pro pull.
Sure does. Ooh, Stalker's in the main. That mine does burrow. Can he target on something juicy? Ooh,
almost. Yeah, it looked like Cyan maybe pulled the probes back a little bit too quickly there, but in the end it wasn't too bad. Losing 3 probes to 3 Widowmines is completely acceptable. It's about as good as you can hope for, apart from 0. But usually 1 probe takes 1 for the team against the Widowmines, but the medevac I think escaped for Time. He killed the observer there on top of the pillar on top of his natural. Oh no, he lost the medevac. Okay, in that regard, in that case, that was actually a very good hold for Cyan to kill that medevac.
He's done well. He may get intercepted by this Terran army though. Okay.
That ain't good. Time's actually got quite a bit of firepower in this army. 3 Colossi is quite scary. Good number of Immortals in this army as well as the tanks. Not Immortals, Marauders, rather, in this army as well as the tanks. So there is a bit of countermeasures here for the Colossi, including the Viking, but 3 Colossi laser beams do actually shred the ground army in the end. And Time's going to escape. Not enough room for that tank, unfortunately.
He trades.
Yeah, well, he's just like, what unit can escape? The Cyclone could escape. Drop that, and then pick up the unit that can't. Good call.
Make him walk.
Yep.
All right. He is regrouping with a few more units. He's actually heading towards the main, perhaps. The third base for Time is under assault, though, or will be shortly, as Cyan is going to press the issue. So wouldn't mind seeing Time just cancel that, lift it, and pull back a little bit. Although, you see there's only a few Zealots and 3 Colossus, but it's going to be hard to kill.
Most of Time's units are actually in the main base of Cyan right now, so he's got to pull back to that natural and rely on the defender's advantage of this high ground, the tank, the Vikings, and holding on. And looks like so far so good for Time, forcing a recall here. The Nexus is going to complete the recall. It does take a lot of pepper from those units. Is there actually enough here from Cyan to handle the drop, though? He might have recalled not enough into the Lion's jaws here.
Yeah, he's got something going in the main for time, so that might be the rest of his supply.
Oh yeah, a
but
lot of worker kills, but
all
his
the
main though.
important stuff is going down. The main is dead, all the tech is going down, a big warping is coming in, but there's 2 tank siege there. It doesn't matter if you've killed 19 SCVs if you've got nothing to defend at home.
Well, it's like all the tech and the production here for Cyan is getting dealt with for the most part. The Archons are dead, and we're not going to be seeing too many more. A Colossus is about to pop for that Robo. If you can get rid of that Robo, Time, I think, is going to have very little problems. In fact, he depowers it there, and there we go, yeah. So Cyan, a lot more workers, but probes aren't going to defeat that army. So Time wins the game there off the back of a very risky, but also a very rewarding Doom drop there in the main base of Cyan.
Yeah, he picked the right moment. Straight after that warp prism gets taken out, he tries to soften Cyan up, sees exactly what he has, and see Cyan start to head across the map. And that was all he needed to hit the go button and land in that main base. So pretty brutal way for Cyan to lose. Like, I can't fault his decision to be like, all right, let's poke at the third, see what we can do. Throw some zealots into the main, but
yeah,
that went pear-shaped rather quickly.
Cyan, like most Protosses, when they get poked by a Terran push and they hold it pretty well, he definitely lost a lot of units in the hold against Time's army, and this was obviously in a brutal start to the fight. Losing that prism with the units inside of it's already like, hundreds of minerals for free. But this fight here, Cyan lost a lot of his gateway army, but all 3 Colossi, I think, were alive at the end. And he's like, oh, I've got enough to counterattack here. So every Protoss is going to make that call. But Time, knew that Cyan knew that he knew. So he was I'm going to go for the drop in the main base because those units are going to be pushing my third. I just need to hold on because he's basically all in after this drop.
Yeah, and in the end, you saw Cyan sort of try to head up into the natural and go, nope, that's not going to work, we've got to recall, and it was just a bit of a mess. And it's always hard to make the decision of, like, how do I deal with this situation? So, yeah, he just absolutely shreds the Protoss. And this is a little bit more what we expected from Time. Still not the cleanest game, like you pointed out. There are a couple of supply locks there, but this definitely, to me at least, looked a little bit more in control than the first game.
Yeah, certainly. A lot of SCVs dying, and Time definitely, as all in as Cyan was, so was Time. But just a lot more army in the end. The recall from Cyan is what every Protoss would also have done at that point, where they're like, okay, I'm not making any progress in the front line, recall everything back home, let's go. Unfortunately, he didn't take his Zealots with him, and they would have been very helpful. I think you'll agree in the main base, clearing up that drop of time. He only had the Colossi, which is cool as Colossi can be and as powerful as they have been. And in fact, you showed how powerful those Colossi are at holding, Terran bio armies with a tank on the back end. Without support, the Colossus is kind of a glass cannon. It dies very, very fast. It's kind of like it's a paper mache unit.
Yeah, that's true. Gets zapped down pretty quick if you're not careful with it. So that's also unfortunate. Sometimes you just path the wrong way. The stars don't align. And goodbye, Warp Prism. But yeah, we'll have to see if game number 3, if Cyan can recover this, or if Time is going to take the 2-1 and keep that head-to-head score looking pretty good. Pretty solidly in his favor. Yeah.
That was a bit of a messy game, and honestly, the series been a little bit messy so far. Game 3 is coming up next, and as you would expect after game 2 ends. But I know, right? It's crazy. Huge concept. But the next map, I don't recall what it was. Production, can you refresh?
Lightshade, I think.
Lightshade? Okay. Lightshade can be a pretty nasty map for TVP. Protosses, I feel like, do pretty well on that map. That's a decent Protoss map. But it is the decider. It's the one that's sort of left over in the end after the bigs and bans. But I think it's lined up decently enough for Cyan the way that he plays. I think it's quite good for Cyan's style. Does that mean he wins the game? Absolutely not. But just talking about the map in general over one whole year of seeing it in the ladder map pool.
Could be good. It has been one whole year. We won't know ourselves when we get fresh maps, man. It's going to be a wild experience. And it's kind of funny too, because we've done all these EBTs on the same map pool, a lot of the same players for these smaller regions, and it can almost feel like a little Groundhog Day when you're like, wait, it's like quite often the same champions too. But I mean, we had some cool results. Oceania, rest of Asia, fresh champ there. So yeah, anything can happen still.
Except in Taiwan, where it'll be nice or Haas, and that'll be that. apparently.
Until the end of time. Yeah.
Till the end of time. Ah, I get it, because time's played right now. Ah, good one, Zeph.
Huge brain, I know.
Mhm.
Totally intentional.
Totally. This is always good fun when you have to cast time, or when you have to cast nice, and you're just like, oh wow, I didn't realize
It's
how
the
often these
worst.
words were in my vocabulary until the player name is there, and then you have to be cognizant of it.
Yeah, you got to make that first mistake to be like, oh, that's right. My sentences don't make a whole lot of sense at the moment. Before you sort of kick back into gear and try and avoid those words, you got to whip out your thesaurus, find some synonyms that'll work for you.
Yeah. I've got a little bit of a list in like a little mental thesaurus for these particular players, and I have to catch myself. You know,
Yeah.
it's a little bit nasty. But anyway, game 3 is just being started up right now, guys. We aren't talking because we just want to hang out, even though we do. You know, Zeph and I enjoy each other's company. It's just that we don't have a game to cast at the moment. It's being set up still, so we're not delaying things on purpose. Just letting you know out there in case you're getting upset and just going, TalkCraft 2, where's my games?
Yeah, a little upsetty spaghetti.
Yeah.
But we'll be in there in no time. What was it? Nightshade. That's right.
Apparently,
And,
there's a bathroom break for Cyan, is what's happening right now.
Understandable.
How dare
You got to
he?
be in peak shape to perform your best. In a
When
best of three.
I was the Alima League guy, that moniker is now switched over to Wardy. He was one of my favorite people on the whole planet. Lovely guy, lovely channel. Great success to him. But the Alima League, every single time, Zeph, you know about that time of the evening where it
Yep.
seems like every pro gamer just has to go to the toilet at the same time. It's so weird. Like they always, it was like 9:30, 10 p.m. like clockwork. It's nice to know that they're regular. That's good. Being regular is very good. It's healthy. But every time you're just like, oh, come on, guys. I just want to start the semis. Fuck, God damn it. It's so, yeah. It's just uncanny that it always happens around the same time.
Yeah, I went through I remember a while back, years ago now, when we used to do like Masters Cups and stuff, sort of weekend cups. I had a similar phenomenon for a stretch of a few months where players would decide it was either a bathroom break or time for dinner at like, just right before the series. You're like, oh, great, we'll set it up. Can we cast? And they're like, yep, hold on. 10 minutes though, because I'm going to go get some food. And it's just like, oh, that's fine. We'll wait. We're sitting there filling time for the next X amount of whatever. But yeah, pro gamers are a unique species.
They are.
That's
They
for
are.
sure.
God bless every single one of them. And game 3 is about to finish here, or rather about to start, or a ways off the finish here, as the countdown is finished. There we go. Sorry, guys. It is after midnight over here in Australia. It's 1 a.m. where Zeph is, and it's slightly before that for me. So, yeah. The delirium is
We're
kicking in.
holding it
We don't
together.
stay up late. We don't stay up late. We're holding this cast together by sticky tape and bubblegum. In the top left here, in the red, from Good Game Gaming, this is Cyan.
And down here in the bottom right, he's in the blue trunks, and he's from Kaisi Gaming. This is Time.
All right, yeah. So Lightshade, I feel like, is a pretty decent map for PBT, but the Time is a monster, and I've seen him defeat Cyan specifically on this map before, so it's not like it's not doable. Not doable. Guys, people pay me to speak. It's still a
Can you
job that I
believe
have.
it?
I know it's amazing. I still can't believe I'm getting away with it. The
me
probe
neither.
looking at all those. Cyan's been really vigilant about this, and this is kudos to Cyan. Not every player is this works this hard in the early game, but he's checking those very common proxy locations pretty much adamantly in every single game in the series. He just really doesn't want to get proxied. And Cybercore straight away as well.
We do see sometimes like the Starport proxy. I think we've seen that a couple of times from time. I didn't know how to avoid that one, so I just went with it. But yeah, We'll see if he keeps up the scouting. I think previously we've seen Time do the 3 racks on this one as well to just try and get in there and end it. Maybe with a +1 follow-up if you need a bit of a extra hit later on, but that's been pretty effective in the past.
Certainly. So the SCV got to get that scout off here, and Cyan's actually getting the second assimilator. He's left the probe by the simulator as well, which is interesting. Normally that probe goes back to mining minerals, but it's a smaller side. It's mining gas now. Minerals was its old life. Gas is the future.
Cute spot to leave a probe.
Yep. Probe in the bush worth 2 in the hand.
And it is going to be the twilight out here for Cyan. And what is Time going to be thrown out? He's been careful enough too himself. He's grabbing that bunker out the front.
Yeah, I think that honestly, it's a tiny bit YOLO to cut the bunker against Protoss, in my opinion. There's just so many things that this 100 mineral investment that you can also salvage for 75 minerals return stops straight up. And if you don't have it, you can die to so many things. So I just think it's always worth getting, even blindly. But I think Time did a decent scout with the SCV.
Depths are going to be a little bit of a bother here, but not to worry. Time with that bunker is able to flush him out of there and head past the Hellion, similar to what we saw on Romanticide. He's just going to get a bit of a scout at the front door here and try and glean what's going on. He's not going to be able to get through, but just trying to understand what the Protoss actually has out on the field. And again, he's going to open with the Raven. We'll see if he floats it across there and tries for the same harassment or not.
Oh, second barracks coming down for Time now as he gets his extra production out. Once again, a Raven opener, similar to game 1. It's very, very similar to game 1 here from Time. Cyan's adepts just going around the map and looking for everything. I love how adamant Cyan is about map control. With small amounts of units he has, he is constantly active with his units. I love this. He would be a very good Zerg player. And those lings all over the place all the time.
Maybe.
I want to see his Zerg accounts MMR.
Ugh, dude, it's probably pretty high, hey?
I think so.
All of these nerds have like an off race that's deceptively
Yeah, you gotta shake it up. You know, you main race all the time. Sometimes you get a little bit burnt out, and you're like, oh, I still want to play StarCraft because it's, you know, it's a great video game, but let's see what it's like playing some Zerg today. Then you get 15 ZVZs, then you stop.
Zep just chilling out the front here. He's going to be watching to see if anything slips out of that Terran base. At the moment, there's not that much out for Time just yet, but he's producing the tanks, starting to get a little bit more of that bio in. And once we see that stim and +1 kick in, then that will be around the timing when we start to see him pressure Cyan, maybe go for that third base and try and get something happening here. Haven't seen into the third CC just yet.
Yeah. Tank's doing a good job at zoning. It looks like Cyan's flirting with the idea of going for a blink in the main base, but this is not enough Stalkers to convincingly do anything. So yeah, he's not full gating. He's going for a pretty regular like 3 Nexus and then into Robo Bay Colossus. So he was like, with the Observer and the Stalkers, it looked like he was like, maybe, but no. He would get annihilated. Eviscerated.
Yeah, he's still maintaining that map control. As you said, though, he's got a great amount of vision, actually. He's got a little bit over here, a little bit over there. He's got a pylon up towards the northwest spot for drops, but wasn't able to stop the Hellion.
Oh my god, this Hellion's getting this Protoss's API data. Downloading this Protoss's earnings. I put it on the internet.
Yeah, hacking the Protoss mainframe.
So this is no one's business at all, and it's kind of weird, but I'm just gonna put it out there. People's freedom. Here we go. What that Hellion did. Feels weird, man. Anyway, we're gonna push down the south side, heading towards the third Nexus right now. A big push by Time, and a lot of army supply advantage here for the Terran. And with the Raven, oh, gonna get the Observer as well. Very nicely done.
Pulling that Raven back behind the bio so it doesn't get picked off by those Stalkers at the front there. Cyan looking to pick up the tank. He is actually going to get that, which is pretty nice. One less thing that he's going to have to worry about here. but as you pointed out, still a fair chunk of Terran. Ooh, decent balls were there, but he's going to be able to siege the tank. And we've got the +1 in combat shields in the mix now too. This army is in two halves.
Yeah, the Raven could shut down the Colossi. It's got enough energy for both of them, and it is going to go for both of them, which means that this bio has no real answer. The Stalker's out of position. They are in the wrong place at the wrong time, and this Terran is going to be rolling up that natural, shredding more and more units, still maintaining a lovely army supply lead. It looks like the Colossi, now that they are ready to fight again, are going to get through all his Marines. The Marauder's a little bit slightly harder of a nut to crack, but they do get it, and they pick off the Raven too. The reinforcements here from Time, not quite in the nick of... Ugh.
This is the point where we just give up.
Yeah, it's 1 a.m., all right?
Oh my goodness. Oh, and this is going to be another big drop into the main. There's one probe here to watch the horror as it all drops out. He's got the mines burrowed in here as well. He's going to be going for the pylons to start with. I don't know that there's any juicy tech here within his reach, but it's so hard to actually close distance here. He has to use the Colossi to get rid of those mines before he's able to move forward. So Time does actually escape with everything there as well. Does have a little bit of hay-ras happening at this third base though.
Yeah, a bunch of the SCVs going down at the third base. 3 of them going down, but also the fact that that phase of the game where Terran's more concerned about having bigger army and hitting with that power spike of army supply rather than worrying about just making workers and expanding like the Protoss generally is. So the Terran is on the back foot economically, but only for now. Mules are going to hit, and SCV production has resumed. So Time heading towards the mid to late game now as he gets his 1-1 upgrades about to be rounded out. I think he might, yeah, he's still on 1 engineering bay going into the second now. Armory halfway done as well. So upgrades very, very similar for both players, but Cyan with a bit of a head start on tier 3, as is the case for Protoss, with Colossi already out and the Templar Archives around the corner.
Wouldn't mind seeing Time bolster that third base a little bit more as well, because you can see already Cyan's setting up potential run buys. Time smartly cleans that up before it becomes a factor, but he'll always just be able to sling a few more around the bottom left there, or he'll send a prism over, stop off at the third while he goes to the main, and you know he's going to do it precisely when Time moves out with everything, and would really not like a visit from those zealots. So you can try and minimize the damage. That is always helpful. Get that SimCity in, maybe chuck in a bunker. But as it stands, Cyan moving out with a bit of a force. He's got some units up, and a unit at the top right there with the prism, but that may also be something that blows into his natural and starts causing some damage while he's out and about on the map.
Well, Time's army's starting to look a lot better here. 2-2 on the way. I think it's still Sigil Forge for Cyan. So, +2 is on the way, but the armor is not, which is good news for Time. So he's double upgrading right now. Natural about to be hit here.
There it is, the big Zealot warp in. He does have a fair few units coming down the ramp though to help deal with this. There's a couple of Marauders left behind too. And with these Vikings, he might actually be lucky enough to snipe that warp prism down the track. But as it stands, he's going to get those to join the main force, and he's ready for another push by the looks of it. 2-2, not quite ready yet though, so maybe not going to commit just yet.
Wouldn't mind almost ready for these Zealots, but it's a very good SimCity in here anyway. It's actually a very, very good anti-charge lock wall in. It's going to be all right for now until it's like mass blink DT time, which is usually in like a couple minutes from now when the Protoss starts to go towards Dark Shrine. Speaking of which, oh, that made me look like a good caster for a second there. Thank you, Cyan.
Disruptor shots coming out. They're duped fairly handily by Time. He's moving in to try and get on top of these Colossi. The Vikings doing some great work. And Cyan is trying to fall back to these future shield batteries that are about to finish. He's also looking towards the DT shrine and getting some more disruptors in the mix. Going for the warp prism in the main at the same time.
Oh, that's a massive warp in as well. Time needs to get everything that he has at home back. In fact, he's doing a big rotation with his army back across the map. Okay, looks like he does have enough to fight back the charge lot warp in, so he's not going to lose too much here, but he is denying a lot of mining time with these SCVs being busy running away rather than mining. So a bit of an income advantage at the moment for Cyan. But the worker count, as the dust settles though, the worker count quite close. That's decent for Terran, honestly. But you as a Protoss, you want to be up a good chunk at the moment, and Time's actually doing really good in army supply. He's doing really good in worker count relative to the Protosses, and he's also doing really good in army complexity. I like Time's army a lot. It's about to also have enhanced shockwave, so that extra, radius as big as the sun on EMP, is what he likes to call it, is looking like it's coming down the chamber as well for Terran, which is fantastic.
And he's maxed. So he's gonna, well, he was until this skirmish, but he's pretty much there again already. And he's got a lot to work with here, and he's going to slowly start choking Cyan out here. He can try and move forward with the tanks, keep a good fight, pick off the Colossi, dodge those disruptor shots. And Cyan's on a timer here. He wants to deal with this, but it's not the ideal setup for him to be able to tack into this.
Cyan is super impatient with these disruptors. It was happening in his PvPs. It's happening right now in his PvTs. He's sending every single disruption over into the ball of terror and hoping that they all connect, but they don't stack, in one spot very nicely. You want to spread them out one at a time, and the Fireball force the Terran to reposition their army and split over and over again. And as a result, this is easy for Time. He can just stem for the win here, and he's like, oh, there's one disruptor? Yeah, no problem. If there was 4 or 5, it'd be a problem, but it's not right now. And
absolute carnage here at this base. I mean, that's absolutely wiped off the map, and Time is going to keep crawling forward here. Where is he going to set up? I wonder if he's going to go into the natural or closer towards that other third base. But he just jumps on top of everything here. Oh my goodness, that Colossus is so close to death. He barely saves it, but there's just not enough numbers here.
It's too many units from the Terran. And that engagement over at that third Nexus was kind of the nail in the coffin here for Cyan. Too much for the Terran now. He's snowballing. And there's the GG. A well-played series from both players, honestly. A good sign to Cyan that he is, at the level to be able to